आज हमारे साथ न्यूज़ रूम में खास मेहमान मौजूद हैं जिनकी विभिन्न विषयों पर बड़ी गहरी पकड़ है। हमारे साथ मौजूद है नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न यूनिवर्सिटी के सिद्धार्थ दुबे जी। ये वहाँ पर एक प्रोफेसर हैं। हम इनसे विभिन्न विषयों पर बातचीत करेंगे। वेलकम इन न्यूज़ रूम सिद्धार्थ जी।
सो मच
सिद्धार्थ जी, माय फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन फॉर यू, हाउ डज द आउटब्रेक ऑफ वॉर बिटवीन इजराइल एंड हमास, Palestine and Russia and Ukraine affect the global and local economy?
It's a huge risk. A lot of that because of the pressures it puts on not just the price of oil, but stability around the world in terms of trade, in terms of growth. We know for a fact that the Middle East is one of the fastest growing parts of the world. A lot of investment going there. That must be a huge worry for countries in the Middle East, and it's also a big problem for the United States, which is the biggest economy in the world. And then the trickle-down aspect on a place like India or Mexico, which depends on the stability of world trade routes for their growth.
As we are looking at India is a growing emerging economy in the world, and the economy of Europe and the economy of other countries is squeezing now. What is the basic reason of these countries' economies are squeezing? Why these are the main economies in the world, but why these are declining economies?
Sure, absolutely. A lot of it is to do with consumption. There's just a decline in consumption in large economies in Western Europe. There's a lot of uncertainty. You've got more or less a full-scale war between Russia and Ukraine, which is sucking up resources all over Europe. But I think a huge worry is the slowdown in China. China is the second biggest economy in the world. China's economic links with everywhere in the world, including this country, including India, are very important and very strong, whether you like it or not. It's a fact. So the slowdown in China is affecting the United States, it's affecting Europe, it's affecting India and the Middle East, and that is a big worry. I mean, the world needs a strong Chinese economy. The world cannot have a weak Chinese economy. The world needs as much peace as possible. The world needs a stable price of oil. And quite frankly, none of that is happening. So that's a problem.
In what are prospects, why Indian economy is growing so fast? What's the factor that pushing Indian economy in a growing manner? What's the factor?
Consumption. This is probably the most exciting part of the world in terms of consumption. The demographics in India work in India's favor. You have largely young people looking to move up, buying cars, buying consumer items, buying clothes. You have a huge amount of investment. The media industry is a great example in terms of money being thrown at it. The uptake of technology, the slowdown in China and the issues between the United States and China does help India. And Apple is a great example in terms of the ability of Apple to build factories in India to produce. In fact, I read somewhere that the newest iPhone, I'm not sure if it's iPhone 14 or 15, I don't have an iPhone, but whatever it is, the newest iPhone, a good number of those iPhones actually have been made or at least assembled in India. So India is a consumption story.
Do you believe that the world is facing slowdown, or it is now near about for the slowdown? It is okay situation and it is recovering situation?
It's a worrying situation. I mean, the latest conflict is in the Middle East between Israel, which is probably the closest ally the United States has. It depends hugely on the United States for its economy, which is apparently forecast to dip 11% in the next quarter. It depends on the United States for support in arms, and it is in the middle of the world supply of oil. Then you have tensions between the United States and China, which is also a global story, and you have an ongoing war in the middle of Europe, and everyone is involved in that, right from Eastern Europe to the UK, to France, to Germany, and what have you. You also have massive pressures of climate change. And again, climate change affects the global economy in a massive way. We're in Delhi right now, the AQI is 700, right? If India wants to progress as the Indian government says it should progress, something has to be done, not just about the air quality, but water management, waste management, land management. All this affects global growth, and yeah, it's a very worrying situation.
As you said, that climate change is a big problem in all over the world now. There is a COP28. They find out solutions that all over the world they have a target to be decline the number of heat is minus 1.5 degrees centigrade.
Yes.
Does you believe that what is serious about the climate change issues, and there is a parallelism between the progress and there is a climate change. How we can set equilibrium between the progress and climate change? Because when we separate industry, and pollution is the output of that progress. So how we set equilibrium and how we set a balance between climate change and industry and progress?
Sure. That's a great question. I don't have the answer because, and I'm not a prime minister or president of any country. And I think that is probably the biggest worry for most global leaders. And if it isn't, they should start worrying about it. At the end of the day, what you have to do for the global population is feed the population, right? Except for India, every population in the world is declining in numbers. At some point, India will start declining. Right now, I'm not sure if it has plateaued or not. But whatever it is, you have to feed these people. If it becomes unsustainable to grow grain, to produce milk, to produce meat, because of the effects on the environment, as you mentioned, the world is warming. What happens to the polar caps? What happens to the sea level? You need cold climate, and you need hot climate, and you need rain. Right now, everything is getting warmer, and there's less and less rain, right? While so far there's no drought in India, there has been less rainfall every year during the monsoons. And it's still an agricultural economy which depends on Mother Nature to water the crops in Punjab and Uttar Pradesh and what have you. Same thing going on in Spain, in France, same thing going on in the United States, which has huge farming industry. So, electrification. I'm so happy to see more and more electric cars on the road. That's a small drop in the bucket. The biggest issues here are land management, water management, but whatever it is, people need to pay a lot more attention to what they're doing to their country.
You are a journalist and now you are a professor in journalism. So my question is that there is a lot of talk about AI. So what's your point of view of AI?
Wow. First of all, AI is going nowhere. Like it or not, you have to make peace with AI. AI will only increase in terms of its invasiveness, not only in your day-to-day life, but in how companies operate and how our industry operates, media, journalism, news reporting. Unfortunately, the effect of AI on journalism so far is rather negative. And that is an issue when it comes to fake news, when it comes to deep fakes, when it comes to image alterations, and when it comes to news organizations depending on an algorithm to write stories for them, right? And manipulation. And we have elections all over the world, starting in the United States, India, the United States, UK, parts of Southeast Asia, and what have you. And the ability to manipulate the message, thanks to even simple things like ChatGPT, is extraordinary. And that is very dangerous because people are so reactive. They will see something, they will hear something, and they will react. And usually the reaction is negative. So news organizations, proprietors of news organizations, editors, reporters, sub-editors need to be extra careful and extra watchful in terms of what they're writing, who's writing it, and fact-checking. A newsroom without a fact-checking cell should not be allowed.
My other question is that today I read a news where UK PM took the interview of Elon Musk. Elon Musk stated that the AI could replace many jobs, and there is a lot of perception about that AI could replace many of the jobs. You are a journalism professor, so what's your point of view that generative AI could replace the journalist? Yeah, what extent they are working? What extent they are working for the journalism, and what extent they could do the favor of journalist, and what extent they could not favor for the journalist? So, what's your opinion about this?
That's a great question. In fact, we talk a lot about that in class, in journalism classes. And you know, one needs to be super transparent with one's students. You can say, you can ban AI and say, if you're caught using AI or ChatGPT to write your assignments, you get a straight F and you go to the dean and you can be expelled. You can say that. That won't wish away the fact that AI is on campus, AI is in the newsroom, AI is in the TV studio. So when I talk to my students about AI, they say, look, you know, we use some sort of ChatGPT or AI tool to do our basic research, which is great. And it's super fast, but it's basic research. Then they say, Professor, but we write the stories. And that's what I want to hear. So yes, AI, there's a huge positive with AI. You know, one should just not, you know, trash AI all the time. It is a huge positive. Mr. Musk, I agree with him on this, that AI is going to, it is replacing jobs. And maybe to the benefit of consumer, I don't know. It's obviously putting people out of work, but that's the nature of the global job market. But in terms of reporting and writing, a computer cannot do that for you. An algorithm cannot do that too, because all it's doing is scraping information from here and there, and then you ask, who is putting that information there? So you can type in, write a story like Siddhartha Dubey would write a story, and you'll get it. But then if you look closely, there will be inaccuracies, because how can a computer write in my voice accurately that I would write?
When we talk about AI, there is a different perceptions of stalwarts who are working in tech sectors. Jeffrey Hinton, who is known as a godfather of AI, artificial intelligence, he said AI is a danger. If he could mimic the human, it could be a danger. But different perceptions, Elon Musk has a different perception. He said it could replace the job. But do you agree that AI should be regulated, and how it should be regulated? Because if even in childhood, if I grow with the AI perceptions, if I grow with the AI teachings, so it could affect my mental abilities. So what's your opinion about this? How to be regulate AI? How to be teach young children, young kids to be grow with AI? And how to be used in our as a friend AI, and how we could not use in AI? So what do you?
So 8-9 months ago, the head of Google, Meta, Mr. Musk, Microsoft, all came, Disney, and a couple of other media and tech companies all came out with a pledge that AI must be put on hold because it was growing too fast and, quite frankly, was scary. It hasn't happened. No one has done that. In fact, it's accelerated. Money spent on researching AI, deploying AI, bringing out AI tools. Some are early to the game, some like Google are late to the game. It's accelerated, and it's a massive money spinner. So who stands to profit AI? Silicon Valley stands to profit from AI. It's a new and life-changing piece of technology. It's like the steam engine. When the steam engine came out, it'll change everything. So to answer one point of your question, how do we teach young kids of today about AI? Put it in curriculums of schools. Don't wait till college. It's pointless. Put it in curriculums of 5-year-olds. Because at the end of the day, they're going to use a tablet. And AI is going to be in the school. Whether you're in New Delhi or New York, AI is there. Is there a danger to AI? Absolutely there's a danger to AI. Right from what we've just talked about, manipulating media, manipulating the message, manipulating elections and the democratic process, AI is also could be used in a very hurtful way for young kids in school in terms of cyberbullying, in terms of personal protection, because think about it, all the stuff we do, right from a bank withdrawal or a bank payment or food order or online, is going somewhere. All that information is going somewhere. And we hope it's protected. I don't know, is it really protected? People say it's protected. But all our information, right from our Aadhaar to our PAN to our passport number to our blood type, is going somewhere. Alexa, how many people use Alexa at home? Where's all that information going? So people need to really, really understand that their online information is going somewhere. And are they happy with that? And there should be a choice. It can't be a world which is completely robotic, like in the movies, like the Terminator movie, where a computer starts a war.
Yeah. There is a lot of statement coming from the teaching community that the kids should not use the AI because it hampers the mental abilities and it hampers the logical ability. It also hampers the thinking ability. It also hampers the learning abilities of the kids. So, do you agree that this point is valid in this technological era where the kids are using mobile phones, as you said, kids are using tablets. So it is okay that we should stop the using AI for the kids?
No, absolutely, I don't agree with that. The minute you ban something, people want it, right? So AI is here. People need to get over that. AI is here, AI will grow. The question is, what are you doing with AI and how are you using AI? And how much are you going to allow an invasive technology into your lives? So children need to, and teachers more than children. Banning it means you don't understand it. They shouldn't be banned. No one should be banning anything. If you live in a country which half the things are banned, then it's pointless. People are going to get it anyway. It's like porn. On theory, porn is banned in India. Forget about it. No way, right? Certain states have banned alcohol. No, you can get a drink in those states. Can't ban stuff. We're human beings. So people need to know what AI is, how to responsibly use AI, and how to beware of bad stuff and bad messaging and manipulation. And that can only happen in school. So the whole curriculum, I'm not just talking about India, I'm talking about India, Mexico, United States, everywhere. The whole curriculums need to change with the new technology.
You're a storyteller basically, and you are, then this segment is a very masterpiece in the journalism era. So what your advice for young students who are aspiring for the journalism, what's the basic need that you, if you become one to a storyteller?
The most important question is why, and it's the most difficult question. So you have the W's and the 1H, the basics of journalism, but the why is the most important and most difficult question to answer, and often you do not get the why when you file your first story. A fire breaks out, you're a reporter, you go report on the fire. Obviously the building is burning down, you ask the cops, what are they up to? You ask the firemen, what are they up to? You go to the hospital, you get how many injured, how many dead, and then you say, why did this fire start? How did it start? Someone will say, I think a gas cylinder broke. Someone will say, no, it was arson. I saw that fellow running. You don't know, you get all these theories. You can't put that on paper because it's unconfirmed. Maybe 2 days down the line there's an investigation and the police say this is why it happened. Then you have an authority. And to be more basic, people need to be very curious if you want to be a journalist. It's not, it's not an MBA or a law degree. You go and you join a job, you join a firm. People really need to be curious and invest and read a lot and understand a lot and put things in context and be honest. I mean, honesty, truthfully, is the most important thing about being a journalist. And on the other hand, employers, proprietors of news organizations around the world need to respect their young reporters and make it a safe environment for especially young women working in news organizations. That really, really needs to be a #1 priority for any employer, whether it's a public company or a private company, whether it's a huge newsroom, whether it's a small newsroom. Just protect your journalists and stand up for them and make them feel safe. So yeah.
Yeah. As you told earlier, that misinformation is a stigma for a civilized society. But there is a world where misinformation is spread everywhere. In the elections era, in health, in the COVID era, we see a lot of misinformation spread in the society. And it's a segment of our society and it's spread everywhere. So what's the measure that we need to take in to be curb this misinformation's war against everyone? Because it's hampered the society, it destroys the society, it's killed the feeling of brotherhood, it's killed the feeling of misinformation. So what's the measure that any country would take in? What is law is sufficient to be taken, and how the news organization's responsibility for this, and what's the measure basically you have made?
So it's much difficult now. I'm 55 years old. When I started my first job, I was a coffee boy in London. I bought coffee, I ran errands. In those days you had coffee boys, now you have Starbucks. And then finally I worked myself up and I became a regular journalist on television. And in those days it was much easier to do the news. You didn't have, the manipulation of the message was much less. You always had politicians and bureaucrats trying to, get you to say or get you to write what they want. And that's relatively easy to brush aside. But here, as you point out, when you're being fed real sophisticated mis and disinformation, it's very difficult for a reporter to distinguish what is true, what is not true, what is messaging, what is not messaging. So there's nothing to substitute young reporters going to the scene of a story, whether it's a fashion story or politics or war and anything in between, or finance, and reporting truthfully from what they see, what they hear, what they read.
There is a lot of issues and we think that there is a media literacy is a key for this. So what is the role of media literacy, and how does it affect the society, and how does it make the better society and better world?
So people will believe what they want to believe. And great examples is the United States of America and India, two big democracies with a lot of good and a lot of bad. And both countries are up for elections in the next 12 months to 13, 16 months. You have people who are pro-government, people who are anti-government, people who are left-wing, people who are right-wing, and a bunch of people who have undecided and pissed off with what's going on. So people, I think, need to be less reactionary. Stop jumping to conclusions. Keep on questioning. Is this really, is there really a bomb blast? Did that person really do the bomb blast as the newspaper said? Or really, did that actress really say that? Was she really nude? Probably not. It's probably a morphed image. Someone else's body on my head, right? People need to stop and think. People need to use their brains more all over the world, but especially in the United States and in India, two dynamic democracies with huge populations and lots of issues. People just stop and think, and what am I consuming? But in terms of what they want to do, they've made up their mind, truthfully. People who love a politician will vote for that. No matter what happens, that individual will vote for that politician and want to believe X, Y, Z that fellow is saying. So,
my last question is that what is praising the India's digital economy and digital progress? What's your opinion about this, and what's the key factor that India could achieve the digital economy and factors of digital GDPR and social life?
Sure. So demographics. India has such a dynamic young population who are consuming everything you put in front of them, which is great. With India, people don't thank young people enough in India. They are powering the economy. There's a reason why we have great growth. And there's a reason why everyone wants to come and sell or produce or be exposed to the Indian market. You also have huge investments in digital economy, very wealthy conglomerates pushing money into telecommunications, into 5G, into artificial intelligence, partnering with Silicon Valley, media houses, a new wave of investment coming into media houses. So it's a mix of a lot of money being invested, being powered by young people with disposable income who are interested in buying, I don't know, how much does an iPhone cost in India? Is it 1 lakh?
1
2
lakh.
lakh? 1 lakh.
More than 1 lakh.
That's amazing. But they'll buy the iPhone. They will buy the scooter. Hopefully the scooter is electric or the car is electric. So that, the problem here is land. It's a country with finite land with a lot of people to live in. And you can see our cities are very polluted, very crowded. And that is an issue which people have to address. Not just, you can't leave it to politicians and bureaucrats, but just ordinary people need to be more conscious about what they're doing to the air, water, and soil.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.